the defending Big 12 champions, Kansas State Wildcats.
Yep.
This team impressed. Now, this was a quote unquote sleeper team last year that like everyone had as a sleeper team. So to me, it's not surprising. It's such a bummer though, because I was on them pretty early, but then I was like kind of got talked away because like, oh, everyone's on Kansas State, everyone and their mom.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I kind of switched my sleeper pick to Baylor kind of last minute, and of course I regret it. But they lost a lot of talent here. They lost a lot of talent, but there's also a lot I think to look forward to. And Chris Kleiman has done a fantastic job with this program. This team, this program just develops talent. They just develop talent. That's all they do. They just churn out guys that are studs. That's what they do. So I really like Kansas State. Of course, I was riding them a lot last year when they were getting hot. But is it time to ride them this year? Right? The line's at 8.5. That's a lot of wins for Kansas State. But they're a good team. What are your thoughts?
I think there's like you said, they did lose a lot, right? Deuce Vaughn's not going to be an easy replacement. I do love Trayshawn Ward, and I do love the compliment that DJ Giddens provides him. I think losing your DBs is tough, and then obviously your punter and kicker like on Ty Zettner. I don't know a ton about kicking and punting, but I know he was pretty impactful for him. But the bright side is I do think you have the two best players in the Big 12, and I don't think I'm really exaggerating when I say that. And Cooper Beebe, well, I think it's a consensus, top 15 player in the country, top 10 player in the country. And then the guy everybody has to know is Kelly Duke. And if you're a Kansas State fan, diehard, you remember him from a couple years ago, started over Felix Anaduki Uzoma, right, before he got hurt, and then switched positions so Felix could play. Now he's back to edge. I think he's going to be really, really awesome. And then Will Howard comes back. How much better can he get with a full offseason after being, the guy? He's kind of been thrown in the fire every year. This year it's finally like, he's settled in, to his spot. He understands, what he's at. I do think they have a really interesting, true freshman there, Avery Johnson. He's a 4.4 quarterback athlete. Runs the 4.4 40 as a quarterback. I think they're gonna have some fun reps for him or packages for him, if they have to, get some things. I think wide receiver, Philip Brooks is a pretty good player. I like him. Keegan Johnson, I think is gonna be better at Kansas State than he was at Iowa, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere else, RJ Garcia's fine player at third option, but I don't like the depth there at all. But they obviously at the tight end, Benson Newt, I think is how you say his name. He's so valuable. Him and Will Howard love each other, right? They're really, really well connected on the field. The defense, I think their defense is where you definitely worry about him, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Felix Enadiki Izama is a big loss, right? Julius Brent's a big loss. Hayes is a big loss, right? The secondary is entirely young and new, right? I don't hate it. I don't hate the secondary, but it's new. There's not a lot there, but and their defense taking that step forward that they did last year was part of their success last year. What made them able to win those close games for sure. But their offensive line is unbelievable this year. It's gonna be awesome. It really is. Like they play some tough teams this year, even out of conference. Like Troy, not a slouch. Missouri on the road, that's not a slouch. Kansas State fans know that, right? Cooper Beebe, we know is a dog, right? Their offensive line, they're all back. Panzer, 950 snaps. Gillum, 950 snaps. Levson Duffy are back at tackle. I mean, like, come on. This is a crazy offensive line. And guess what? Yeah, Deuce Vaughn is out, but enter Trayshawn Ward, right? A guy that somehow is not seeing the field at Florida State, which is pretty crazy. Like, that is a talented running back in there. And I am a Will Howard lover. I'm a Will Howard lover. But it is just the schedule that gets me. It's just the schedule. I think Missouri on the road, even Troy at home, like that's a lot. And then like you go to Texas Tech, you go to Stillwater, you go to Texas. Like your road games are tough. So, and you'd also don't draw West Virginia, right? Which is like kind of what everyone wants to draw if you're in the
Come
Big 12.
on.
Come on, come on. But there's some losable games on here, right? So you
The
only
back
draw,
half of the schedule is
yeah,
tough.
and
I
a
mean,
lot of
they
these
got early
teams,
bye week. I hate early bye weeks. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Kansas State.
exactly.
I hate early bye weeks because you could like they could be 4-0, right, with three really good wins against Troy, at Missouri, and UCF, and then you get a bye week, but then you got 8 more games to play in a row, right? When everyone's beat up in conference play, I don't like it at all.
Yeah, and I do think Eli Huggins at nose tackle last year, that was a leader in the locker room. He was a leader on their defense, and he
Mhm.
absolutely plugged up the middle. He was really, really good. Of course, Ivuso Somalu, right? If he takes a step, then it could be a better defensive line that way, right? If we're talking about, Khalid Duke taking a step at edge as well. Well, we know he's good at edge, right? But if he's back there doing his thing, uh, Brandon Mott is also pretty decent as well. Like, I think people like his upside a lot as well. So there's some stuff to like there on the defensive line. Secondary, again, we talked about being young. I don't hate this linebacking core. They're experienced.
They're all
That's all you
back.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need, right? I mean, you just need to win 9 games. You just need experienced linebackers in the Big 12, right? Just
Mhm.
experience. So I don't know. I just said that 8.5 was a great line. I push right there. I don't lean over. I don't lean under. I think it's a great push. I think if you had took out Missouri in that schedule, I'd be pounding the table.
It's not even that I think they're gonna lose to Missouri because I don't. I think and Missouri's a fine team. And I think we're kind of interested to see what Missouri's doing this year, but it's the depth, it's the attrition that's gonna be taking place with the dynamics of the schedule. I hate to go back to it, but this team is I love if they're top 22 players, right? Like their ones are I love it. I think you put them up against most teams on their schedule and they're really, really damn good. The problem is the depth. I mean, at defensive end, you've got depth. At O line, you have depth. Everywhere else, I don't really love your depth, right? You're either breaking in new guys in the front end who we like but are young, and behind them are even less experienced guys. Um, so yeah, so a couple injuries on this team, and they could be in. That's what scares me from taking the over, right? Because I think this is a talented, right? Your ones are there. That's 9. I see 9 wins on here for sure. But I
10
think,
even.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think the problem is to go a 12 game season is gonna be hard.
Yeah, look, I love Kansas State. I really do. I love Chris Kleiman. I love the coaches that make the jump and succeed, right? Because a lot of people, they don't give those coaches enough credit. They're not your first hire. They're not the fans' favorite hire, right? It's not the flashy hire, right? Look, if A&M for what like if A&M had, well, when they were looking for coaches and they got Jimbo, right? If they had hired like a D3 quarterback, like a Jeff Traylor, or like if they'd hired like a Jeff Traylor, right, or a Joey McGuire, I think like people would have been pretty upset, right? People would have been furious. But I love when those guys succeed. I love when those guys
Yeah.
succeed. I know those were like high school coach examples, right? But yeah, same thing. You jump up a level, right? Get that level promotion. So I'm rooting for you, Kansas State. I really think this is a really good team, right? And you could still
Mhm.
go 8-4, right, and make the Big 12 championship. I mean, y'all went 9-3 last year and won the whole thing, right? So if you drop an out of conference game, you can still make the Big 12 championship. So just because I'm not willing to take the over on the over under does not mean I'm not high on this team. I think this is a very good team. I think 8.5, right? That's not a line that Kansas State always sees, right? So I think that is representative of how good this team could be.